Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. Um, so, tonight we're going to talk about how I was wrong. I think it's important to admit when you are wrong. You've probably seen it in the comments section. You've got somebody saying, asylum seekers have to apply for asylum in the first country they come to. And if you've read our comments section, I'm sure you have seen me say, cite that law. Show it. Show me it. Show me the treaty. Without fail, they cannot. So I got curious and I started looking, trying to figure out where this idea came from. And I found an EU court ruling from the High Court there that basically said refugees have to apply in the first member state they come to. If that was to be applied to the U.S., it would mean that if an asylum seeker entered in Texas, they had to apply in Texas. They couldn't go to Louisiana to apply. That's what it would really mean, but I could see how somebody could be confused by it. So that's what I was saying. I was like, this is where it came from. It's not international law. Well, the other day I'm over on YouTube and somebody comments and says, Bo, you're wrong. There is a treaty that says that. And I'm like, great, another one. And click the little read more button, and this guy's got a link. And I don't even have to read the link, open it up, just have to read the title. And sure enough, I'm certain that is where it came from. So we're going to talk about the Safe Third Country Agreement. Okay, this is a good example of why you should not get your legal information from memes. You have to read the whole treaty or law or statute, whatever, and then you have to read all the statutes and laws or treaties that treaty cites to really understand it. In most cases. In this case, all you had to do was read the full title. It is the Safe Third Country Agreement between the United States and Canada. It applies to two countries, and two countries only. Basically, what it's saying is that if a Honduran, for example, travels through the U.S., gets to the Canadian border, and tries to apply for asylum, they can't. They have to apply in the U.S. If somebody took a flight into Canada and then went to the U.S. border to try to apply for asylum, they can't. They have to apply in Canada. But that only applies to the U.S. and Canada. Nowhere else in the world. Nobody else is a signatory of this treaty. It's bilateral. Two countries. So it has nothing to do with a Honduran coming up from the Mexican border. Nothing. Now, here's the funny part about this, is while people in the U.S. are trying to expand this treaty and say, look, no, they can't come here. Here's this treaty that Mexico didn't sign. The Canadians, the Conservative Party of Canada, there's a whole bunch of parties in Canada that are trying to scrap it because to them the United States is no longer a safe third country. We have fallen out of the requirements because of our treatment of asylum seekers and refugees. We have, and because of our torture, actually. Our stance on, what did they call it, enhanced interrogation techniques. That also plays into it because that was a requirement. Yeah, the Canadians are trying to scrap it. But here's the other part that's really funny about this. Trump knows this. President Trump is completely aware of this. We know he's aware of it because he actually tried to get Mexico designated as a safe third country, and the entire world laughed at him. Okay? This is a country where sex trafficking, human trafficking, there's been mass slayings of migrants. People are targeted for their sexual orientation. It is not a safe third country by any standards. Certainly not by the high standards set out by that treaty. Okay, but the point I want everybody to take away from this, especially if you've been walking around saying they have to apply in the first country they come to, the real thing you need to really let kind of sink in is that people that know immigration law were so dumbfounded by this widespread belief that you have to apply in the first country you come to that they were out there, Sherlock Holmesing it up, trying to figure out where the idea came from because it's such a foreign concept. It's so wrong that people were curious where the initial idea came from. And they actually argue about it and debate it. Now, I have moved myself. I was wrong. I don't think that it came from the EU High Court ruling. I think it came from the Safe Third Country Agreement. Either way, it doesn't mean that you have to apply in the first country you come to, unless you're moving along the U.S.-Canadian border. That's the only place this treaty applies. Anyway, guys, knowledge is power. Don't get your legal information from memes. Anyway, just a thought. Y'all have a good night.